Okay, we will come to order at 5 o'clock. Let's introduce ourselves.
Scott Morley, Select Board.
Gary Keenan, Select Board.
Dan Webster, Select Board.
Maxwell, Town Administrator. Dave Barlow, Town Treasurer.
Bernie Bennett, School Director, Treasurer, Trustee of Secretary of Funds.
Kathleen Ahern, Edmund Douglas Price, Coordinator.
Daniel Rondo, President and Secretary of Commission Care.
Andrew Samuel, Constable.
We also have the Town Clerk, Deb Tangway, via Zoom. Changes tonight. Matt Jesse will not be joining us. You crossing the floor off your list. Apologizes, something came up in another town. And
We don't get Dr. Schultz.
it was an important, I guess. I didn't press him on it. Public comment?
Didn't get rescheduled. Do we have a date for the reschedule?
He's gonna come to the next, yeah, he's gonna come to the next select board meeting. Something with another town and a state thing.
Okay, so the 18th.
August 18th. Yeah, we'll do reappraisal, townwide reappraisal, and then he's gonna do your restorations plus. You'll have your assessing fill. Any public comment? Okay, we will go to Better Roads Grant on the River Road. Should be in front of you. This is to update some hydrological segments on the River Road. Road foreman Nathan Standish went down there with a state official last week and looked at what needs to be done. We've got, I don't know, really, what's the money there? $9,500.
Yep.
To do some ditching and put some stones in down there to next segments. So Nathan is just looking for the okay to go ahead and do it. It's like it started this week, I think. And we'll have to expend the money
I was
first.
gonna say we,
Yeah.
and then
pay,
get reimbursed.
so he's gonna hire guy he always hires, Bernie Gagne. To do the excavating and, should be fairly.
Why is there a grant just for the River Road? Is it just something?
It's a grant for any hydrological segments in town, but that they felt that those were the ones that are most in need. I wasn't actually at the meeting with Nathan met with them, so I was actually.
Well, they had started earlier this year. Our guys had pushing some of those banks
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
And I think they found out how much there is to it.
Yep.
So that would be, it's already approved
it's already approved.
in the pipeline, so if we don't dissuade it, then
Right.
it's all set.
That's all set.
And we pay and then we get reimbursed this year.
Right, the only, I mean, if we don't do the work, then it just.
Yeah.
I don't see.
They used to do those with them, right?
Yes, yeah, they did a lot of those.
Well, it's no money out of our pocket,
No,
not in the long run.
right?
Nice. Good job, Nate.
Yeah. I'm good with you, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm good with it. Motion to accept the Better Roads Grant, the River Road. For the amount of $9,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
very good.
Thanks for doing that, Matt, you guys.
Okay, next up is the oil supply contract for. What is it, Deb, for 2026?
Which contract was that?
Oil supply.
That's for this coming winter, yes.
Right, okay. So we've had them for the last couple winters. They've all, back when we used to get a bunch of bids, these guys were always the lowest anyway, and we don't have another bid this year. Oh, you got,
Are we locked into a minimum number of gallons?
What
Yeah.
they did for us last year is because last year we were actually anticipating on converting over to oil, to propane. That I called them and they stated that they will go ahead and just, because we have used them for so many years, they'll just give us that pricing, and that whatever time that we change over to LP, we change over to LP. So we will not be penalized from canceling out the contract early.
I don't imagine everything will get done. I don't know, when are they supposed to have everything done?
Well, we got an invoice for what they did on the outside,
Mhm.
and next steps is gonna be electrical and mechanical inside.
Inside this one, whether or not they get to the, garage.
And they are gonna get to the town
Yep, good.
by September.
Deb, is that a price you think is good?
Yep, absolutely.
Two
Just
fifty-two,
in comparison to prior year.
right? Yeah, I mean, there's no set amount, because that's what you were asking, right? So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Yep.
Looks good.
Matt, are you gonna go, please let you go ahead and sign?
That, yeah, that's up to you guys, it's contracts, you can either sign
Just a little
yourself.
signature.
Yes. Yep. So make a motion to approve the oil supply contract for $2.52 a gallon for the 2025-26 winter season, and we'll have Matt sign the contract.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
I'm sorry, I didn't get a price.
252.
$2.52.
Thank you, Matt. Just go ahead and sign it.
Yep. All right, next up is the fiscal year 2025 spending versus revenue. This was on our last agenda, it's back on.
Yeah, I asked that to be put back on because I was getting a little bit confused, Dave, on that. So I wanted to talk through that again with you. Have we done these before?
There is one in my report, in the annual report just published for the last time.
Okay. I think if we're gonna do that, we should probably meet beforehand and sort of ferret out what that form is and what it's for, because it can be quite misleading. At least it is to me. And so some of the things jumped out at me. I don't know how much you two are gained from that form or what you think about it, but one thing that jumped out to me was the remove transfer 250,000. What is that?
That's the budgeted transfer to the town investment. So it is not spending. It does not leave the town.
Okay. So and that's what I had assumed it was.
But it is included in the Fund 100 numbers. Because that's where it lives, as a line. But it's an investment transfer. Money that did not leave the town, it's not spent.
Right. It went to long-term investments.
Correct.
So this was, so how much money did we totally transfer to long-term investments last year?
250,000.
That was it. We didn't do
The 500,000 voted at the June special town meeting sits awaiting your guidance,
right.
the board's guidance as to when to make that transfer.
So when we made that decision, or if we had made that decision as a town in March, when would we have transferred it? In 25, or would we have waited till 26?
It should have transferred normally. It would have transferred to 25, even with the June special town meeting. However, you have indicated to me several times you were not happy with the process. So I have not done it.
Okay. So it's
And I'd say your accountant has an opinion on it. All that first time.
So the 250, I think. We're building that into. Our budget,
You had in the past, yes.
right? So I think that that's one of the discussions that would be on the table if we discuss this, because I've never felt. And I wanted to, we talked about it last year, and I lost sight of that. But to me, that should be not in an operations budget. It should be a standalone, so it should have been 500, or it should have been 750,000. The asked transfer, not 500,000, and the 250 sort of in the weeds of the general operations.
Well, it's however you want to do it. I mean, the budget belongs to the board.
You guys know what we're saying there? And I know the town has done that for quite a while. I don't know how long.
I was gonna say, it seems like that's been kind of a ongoing thing,
The
so.
250.
Yeah, that was the old amount. Calculated on an actuarial basis to get the town. Based on spending at the time. And 2025 was the finish date, to get us to the finish line for the town investment account balance.
Right,
Emphasis on the old.
right. The other part that I can't really wrap my head around, and because there's not enough detail here to see it, which is restricted funds. Some of this expense was expended in 25, but had been allocated prior.
All of it. You didn't put anything in the restricted funds this year. I
Right,
don't think you put anything in fiscal year 2040. However, it is money that is set aside in those funds
right.
for you to spend.
What's in the restricted fund, is it basically the reserve fund that we're using?
Correct.
They have lots of
Lots of names.
Well. What do you guys get out of that?
We have some money that we need to invest.
That's one thing. You,
And if the negative 250 is also in the. Oh, where did you say? In the funds 100 and 150. And it didn't go anywhere. Are we really overspent? Yes and no.
Now, this is a direct measure of revenue received.
Yeah.
2,994,495,
Mhm.
and money spent. 3,121,287. That is that direct,
Yep,
the money that came into the town,
which was less than
spending
anticipated.
that went out. It says nothing about authorization, which it was authorized spending,
Mhm.
no issue about that.
Right,
It just says, last year you had spent more than came in, excluding the town's investment fund.
So ideally, y'all want to change the investment amount so that we're not overspending the budget. That would be one option. The second question that I have though is, how much, is this a continuing trend, you think, where we're overspending?
Well, it doesn't, it's not that they overspent the budget, the only budgets that existed last year were the general fund and the highway.
I understand, I understand, yeah,
There were no budget in the restricted funds.
sure, like, we're not overspending the budget, but our expenses last year were higher than the income credit.
Correct.
So if I were to ask you that same question differently, will next year's expenses, or is this a trend that will continue where our expenses on a yearly fiscal year basis will be exceeding our yearly income?
If we look at the budget for this year, that includes all of the items that are that were approved by the voters.
Yeah.
As adjusted by that.
Yeah.
And, it looks likely that spending will exceed revenue, but you just don't know.
No, I
I
understand.
mean, you just don't know. This number could have changed quite a bit in either direction last year, depending on if a truck had shown up that's been on order for 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
It gets worse, if roads don't get paved, that ran out of time, then it gets a lot better.
Yeah.
Right, so it mainly shows you, it gives you a feel for where you stand on what we used to call excess revenue.
Mhm.
It used to be, we have a large line of excess revenue. And that over the years has gotten smaller and smaller.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at. Now it's a negative.
It was last year, it was a little bit the year before, but the year before that, it was almost $1 million positive, so.
So I guess in the long run, it's probably stable, but the data points are kind of going up and down across
No, clearly spending has been
increasing. Okay,
And, there's a proposal to build an expensive town garage. And I don't use that in an editorial sense. I think everybody would agree that that garage has a fairly big price tag.
Oh, yes, it does.
That's a big item.
so I guess what we're coming down to is if we can't meet that 250K goal for the investment account for 2045 ending. And we're adding in more expenses into our town. We're not gonna be able to meet both, right? So,
Well, it'll take a while because
some years when we had,
you've got well over $1 million still sitting in the reserve funds.
right,
Right, so it'll take a while to
we get that point.
get to that.
So would this be one of those situations where we pull some from the reserve fund to,
So
I guess what I'm getting at is that the reserve fund will probably deplete over the next several years.
that's up to the board and the town.
Right.
So,
If we wanna keep our current level of expenses, will increase over time as we've seen in the past. Without going to reserve funds, I don't understand how we're going to get.
I think it's really quite useful to look and see, okay, the Casella revenue is not a bottomless pit of revenue,
Exactly,
right? So when you're pumping $250,000 to, for instance, not to say bad things about the town foundation, they're a great organization. You pump $250,000 into the town foundation, it's $250,000 the town doesn't have anymore.
right,
In the town gets a lot of money from Casella, but it's not a bottomless pit.
Yeah.
Right now, we're at the 2.3, 2.4 million a year range.
Yeah.
It's
So-
not gonna ramp up suddenly.
understood. Well, this tells me though that we're seeing some red flags that we should probably be focusing on and
I think
adjusting our spend.
the goal, what we've talked about is budgeting so that we invest first. And then if there's something left to pay down, whatever.
Yeah.
Then there's something left.
So you don't need to prioritize what those things we'll be shelling out money for would be.
For sure.
Dan's absolutely correct. We talked about that an awful lot, this last year or two. And so what the plan is here, this year is we're going to have the town's long-term investment portfolio with a plan.
It's a good plan, so
With an actual plan.
Okay.
We're going to create to the best of our abilities.
Yeah.
How much money the town needs that account to be when we think the revenue from Casella stops.
Mhm.
So 22 years, let's use that number for today.
Yep.
We need to create from our expenditures what
that
that number looks like,
Yeah,
taking
exactly.
all of the factors into consideration, professional help.
Yeah.
That compared to where you are today sets us on a path to know that we need to invest in ourselves,
Yeah.
into the town, this much money
right,
each year
Yeah.
for the next 22 years to achieve that goal.
right, and that'll give you a
No-
ceiling of what can be
Knowing
spent.
that that will move around
Sure,
for a number of different reasons. So what Dan is talking about is when we set up our voting for March this year. I think it'll be the first time that we do that, and we say, here is a vote for the operation of the town. Here's a vote for the highway, even though they might be together this year, we'll see, right? That comes first. Then comes your investment portfolio.
Okay,
That's next.
Yeah.
Whatever number it is that the group finds with the professional help, that number needs to be, whether it's 300,000 or 800,000.
sure,
That number needs to be up for vote.
Yeah.
Then we look at
that makes sense. I mean, you guys are prioritizing.
either town garages or paving or whatever, and we begin to understand that David's right. Everybody's sort of right on that, that we, you know, it's not a bottomless pit. We don't want to get 10 years from now and still be having the same conversation. We're not gonna do it.
We might need to reassess in 10 years.
Right, we've committed to it. We're gonna do it. We've made a lot of adjustments. We've made a lot of changes in. Most of that is geared toward exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. And so we can go on and on about, you know, the town garage and paving and all those things are all up for votes, but generally speaking, we've been putting those up for votes without greater understanding
Right,
of what David is talking about.
Right.
Which is future impact.
exactly.
And so I think if we build muscle memory for March, that we do it the same consistent messaging each year as a group, then I think you're gonna get somewhere. It's just that this form right here last week, it threw me a little bit because I wasn't ready for it. I didn't really understand it. And when I see it, I want to sort of peel it apart and say, if we're gonna do that, let's do it more. Let's do more of that. Let's figure out, you know, how to pull that apart, what it means, what it doesn't mean. Because if you just pick this paper up without any education to it, you can't read it. It looks like total doom and gloom, and it's not. So there's a lot of discussion that has to go into that. So
Yeah, in context, it's a data point. That's all it is.
that's all it is. All right, so we can figure out how we want to do that, I guess. We're gonna have to do it differently so I can understand it better.
Good on that one?
Well, my suggestion would be, let's add it to the bottom of my a version of it. We need to determine how that looks to evolve, but to the bottom of my monthly budget. Understanding that the first couple times through, especially when the year is young, fiscal year is young, it's not gonna have a huge amount of meaning, but just to get eyes on maybe a possible solution like that.
Okay.
That would also tag on just a summation of any restriction on spending. In one line. I have to see it, so it's gonna make sense.
Right.
I made this last page 3 of what I did last time, just because, in fact, it is a data. And it's one that really only has fully developed at the very end of the fiscal. For that.
Yeah.
Really mean a lot. Let's see, you can try.
Okay. You guys good?
I'm good. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, select board resolution investment account. For you,
Can I start this one?
Shoot.
I was kind of blindsided by it.
Okay.
And to have the attorney write up a letter, we hadn't officially discussed it unless I'm not recalling it.
Okay.
Because the town treasurer's handbook that's, I know not a Bible, but VLCT put out actually says in there that the treasurer is like not in charge of, but the investments. Key player in keeping the town's financial accounts, investing town money, keeping a record of taxes voted and paying the bills. So I'm not sure where it came from.
So when we met, and talked about this a few times,
Mhm.
what we talked about was the process of how those funds would be moved.
Mhm.
And what we discussed was, and what we decided was, the select board would vote on transfer of funds from the long-term investment accounts.
Right.
We would motion and go through the normal process of how we pay that.
Mhm.
The town administrator would supply that decision-making through minutes, am I right on that, Matt?
Yep.
To Westview, so that they had that
Mhm.
hard and fast.
Mhm.
And they would then complete the transaction.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of Dave's job, but also this was just kind of out of left field. I think, that's just my opinion.
Well, that's good. So, the Westview investment forms that we brought here the last 2 or 3 meetings, and we've gotten through all of them.
Yep.
With the exception of the form for the 3 authorization certifications, which required 2 signatures.
Mhm.
David can speak for himself, is not yet signed. And he needs to sign those in order to effectuate the decisions that we.
Why didn't we do that in a meeting?
We are.
But I'm just saying, I'm just saying with that document, why did we go to the attorney and?
David?
Well, in the spirit of your stated, let's work it out ahead of time in meetings, I thought we were gonna do that last Friday when you scheduled the meeting with me. But you didn't show up and no, and you weren't there, so there's obviously no discussion on this. I have read the resolution and I would like to, with the board's permission, just provide you the statutes that impact what the treasurer is supposed to do with investments. That's okay, I have the
Mhm.
copy. Make sure Matt gets one. They both say essentially the same thing.
Okay.
They cover the town's general fund and the town's cemetery fund. And it's the same language and it's quite explicit. Monies received by the town treasurer on behalf of the town may be invested and reinvested by the treasurer with the approval of the legislative body. And I emphasize by the treasurer, it's in the statute. It's in there for town funds, it's in there for cemetery funds. The exact same language. And this, resolution that you're proposing would remove any ability that the treasurer has in this town to do anything with investments. I would not be able to do anything. I couldn't see them. I'm not gonna get any visibility. I have no input whatsoever to any of the investments. So legally, I think it's just a non-starter. I know that apparently our attorney put this together. It's clear that he word searched the statutes for the term authorized individual and didn't find it, which is not a surprise because Fidelity Investments, it's their term. It's not something that statutes are written around. Statutes they also don't say that the select board can be an authorized individual or the chair of the select board or any select. They don't say anything about it, which is natural because again, authorized individual is a Fidelity Investments term. So I say, don't be misled by the, I would say, pseudo legal language in this document. It's not, it doesn't make any sense in conjunction with the reality, the hard reality of what the statute actually says. The treasurer does the investment. In order for the treasurer to do the investing with Fidelity Investments, the treasurer must be an authorized individual.
I concur with what David
And
said.
then, you know, and then the document also doesn't define authorizing. That's another problem with this resolution. No definition of what that means.
So like I said, I concur with what David said, to add to it, 17 VSA 265 also states that like if these duties apply to any treasurer, whether they're appointed or elected, so even that's not a legal ground for this.
Say it again.
17 VSA 265 states that duties apply to any treasurer, whether the voters elect the office or the select board appoints it. So y'all can decide who the treasurer is if they're appointed. But as far as the statutes are concerned, the treasurer has to be the one who can appoint. And if we're worried about unauthorized access to it, I love the idea of having to have a select board motion to move any money. Is that how it currently works anyways?
I think we're missing something right there. I think you're missing.
Okay.
What's happened in the past
Mhm.
as it relates to long-term investments. It's not a check we write,
Yeah.
transfer.
Uh-huh.
And those transfers, which were many, not just one transfer that this town has been making, deposit new, there's 3 accounts.
Correct.
And the town has been using for a number of years, correct me David when I'm wrong on this. The cash account at Fidelity for different reasons.
Okay.
David can explain better than I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I guess is the reason relevant?
But I don't want to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we have a cash management account at Fidelity that's there to manage the cash.
Sure.
So it has essentially one purpose, and that's to maximize the return on the town's cash.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting at
In a bank,
international bank at
yeah.
0.25%.
Yeah.
It's sitting
In a money market.
mostly in a money market fund.
Yep.
Again, legally for the statutes.
Yep.
Earning somewhere between 4% and 5%, or previously when CDs were well over 5%.
Yeah.
And CDs laddered so that it maximized payoff.
Mhm.
And this was, just a history on that, a couple of years ago, the board, under the previous chair, gave that directive to me.
Yeah.
To maximize the return on the town's cash.
Yeah.
Don't let it sit downtown, maximize. So that's the purpose of that particular account.
Right.
Now, on the once a year occasion where, the transfer needs to be made from the for the budget, the approved budget piece. I have in the past always informed the board that I was planning to make that happen.
Correct.
It was not motion, but I did always inform the board, hey, I think on such and such date, I'll be making that happen. Because it's a cash management decision. Do we have cash on hand enough to do this large transfer as well as pay all the bills?
Right.
The money from Casella arrives only 4 times a year. So, yeah, it's gotta all be timed out. We gotta manage the cash carefully.
So it's hard to schedule when those transfers are basically happen.
It's not super difficult.
Right, but
But,
coordination can differ.
but you do have to pay attention.
Sure.
And I'm quite certain I would always inform the board that I was going to do it. I was not asking permission. That's true. And I'm always, my position is current. If the board wants to change the procedures, please do. But as treasurer, I'm statutorily obligated to do the investing. And if you think about that, it kind of makes sense. You've got the money handling person that does the money handling.
You could have it, it would make it almost impossible for you guys to manage the cash account to maximize profits from the investment, correct, David?
It would be, painful.
I mean, it's not impossible, but you'd have to be doing his job.
Good point.
For that particular account.
Yeah.
But But in terms of making the annual contribution, or if it's two contributions to town investment fund, that's an easy, put your procedure. I motion it, great. I'm happy to do what you want on that. It makes sense. Do you want us to say, yes, do it? Okay. Pending availability of cash, whatever it is. But the cash management piece, yeah, Dan, you're right. Things change quickly. Just the last AP run at the last, I think it was the last board meeting, there was some $700-something thousand worth of checks in there. The Casella payment had not arrived yet. Cash had to move, just to make sure we don't bounce, do not want to bounce checks. That's the number one thing with town cash. Don't let the town bounce checks. That would be very bad. But it's not, but the investment, I separate these out. There's cash management, which is not an investment account. It's not there for investing purposes. It's just there to maximize the return on town cash. And if the return drops again to zero, that account goes away. There's no need for it. For many years, you couldn't earn any more at Fidelity than you could at the bank on cash. It just wasn't a thing, but now it is a thing. Makes sense to take advantage, but it's not. That piece isn't an investment. And the other two accounts, one of them actually is a separate account for the school fund.
Yep.
Which is special purpose and has its own rule set and has its own investment. And the cemetery fund is currently, again, still stuck in with the town investment fund, even though Westview is supposed to move it out. They've committed to doing that, it just haven't done it yet. Get it its own account. It also has its own set of rules and investment rules, separate from the town.
Is Westview the current financial planner or the town? Or
It's now West,
same people?
it's different. The board changed.
Okay.
By the cemetery bylaws that our investment account is managed at the direction of Bernie and and done by the treasurer is how it is. That's how it's read at this point in time.
Yeah.
So that'd be an intermingled kind of.
Well, it's not intermingled, it's in its own fund.
So, but like you were saying, so there's.
But for his ability to do that kind of. It wouldn't work.
So-
That's right.
So some of the things that have complicated this, right, and I'm seeing more and more reason to separate this. The town created long-term investments. Way long time ago, it was in Newport. 20 years ago. And we were buying bad investments. It cost a horrendous amount of money for the town. Millions, essentially. We had to go through, we had to unwind all that. The town had to unwind it.
Yeah.
Pay a lot of penalties. Retrieve the money that we could retrieve.
Yeah.
And found more suitable placement for that money for long-term investments. And that happened a decade ago. Since then, we complicated it a little bit by creating these other accounts with the same umbrella of investments. It's complicated.
What other accounts? Yeah, this is what I'm trying to understand.
Because the pool account, the cemetery account have to stay separate.
Correct.
They can't be intermingled.
So the town's investment fund is still a town's investment fund.
Statutorily, on state law.
Help me with that,
It can't be.
the history of
Yeah,
that.
so the thing that does need to happen, absolutely, Dan, is that the cemetery fund has a single mutual fund currently.
Yeah.
So it's easy to identify on the state, but it is in the same brokerage account. It needs to come out and be in its own brokerage account,
Correct.
right? So, what happened is that just there's a bit of history, the previous advisor said, okay, the board said, let's get better return on our money. Let's get, this previous guy, Paramount, and get us some cash management thing, and he said, okay, the quickest way to do that is to just move this single mutual fund, the cemetery into the town, because it's a
Larger AUM, basically.
because you could,
Yeah.
and have this empty mutual fund, empty brokerage account, we would then use for cash management. But the intent always being to set up another brokerage account to, and we never did. Now, we need after Westview to do it.
Okay.
Um,
Well, all this just sounds like.
So that's-
separate accounts, I'm not sure.
but there was always
So
three,
that's how that one got.
there's always three brokerage accounts.
Mixed up.
Okay,
There's always three,
okay,
always been three.
okay. So,
You go back, you go back to all the statements, going back to 2019, 2018, when we first set it up and chased all the money out of downtown.
So what's the crux of this stuff? I guess I maybe
Literally,
I'm not
physically
missing
changing
the crux of it. So like statutorily, we need this to happen. But as far as I'm hearing, these. The investment accounts have been what they are with their level of complication that we have. So now our issue or concern is that we want more management over it. Why not just add new procedures?
Well, that's what we did,
Okay. That's what this is.
yes.
Well-
That's just certainly an attempt to do it.
No,
This is not a procedure. This is.
So the decision that we made.
Yeah.
Was what I said earlier, right? Which is. How far back do you want me to go?
Whatever you think is relevant. I guess what I'm looking for really is what's the red flag that we currently have that is. Starting this off.
The red flag is. Not having a warrant.
Not having a warrant.
Not having a warrant, not having a paper trail and decision-making and authority to move vast amounts of town money.
Okay,
And making that go through a meeting, a transparent process, a board, a discussion like we're doing tonight,
okay,
and then directing all
that's okay.
that.
That's procedural.
That's where we started on all of those discussions.
Okay,
When we're just talking about the long-term investments, and that's sort of like where we started. That should be once a year deposit.
Okay,
Right? That's
sure.
if we want to play simple there.
Yep.
And. That's just a transfer.
Yeah.
The folks. At Westview. They do the transfer. There's nobody that needs to do the transfer. They just need to be authorized
Right,
in
and
order
then
to
the money
do the
around.
transfer.
Yep.
So this is telling you the process of how that works, which is the board meets, the board discusses it, the board makes a decision. The board votes,
Sure.
the town administrator gives them the meeting minutes to show them that that's the way it is, and they.
I think that's,
Take care of the
that should be
transfer.
going for the
that
treasurer.
absolutely cuts the
That
treasurer
goes
out
to
of
the treasurer.
the
That would be
investment
my thing.
process, essentially.
You guys decide the process, get the paperwork, hand it to him, he goes and talks to them, and they do it.
And the fact is, we could cut a check. So I think the one you're applying, your example applies to the annual $250,000 budgeted transfer. In terms of that element of it that's happened pretty much every year, that has not gone through the warrant process. Any other transfer of the investment has been as a result of a warrant that's been voted on by the town. Minutes have been before the select board to be approved. Those transfers, I'd say, are well documented. Just by town action. The latest one is a special town meeting where the board voted to approve $500,000 transfer to the investment. That is super well documented. It's those budgeted 250K ones that I agree that if use board thinks they need additional documentation, then let's make that happen. It could happen through, it can happen through the warrant process, through the AP. You can, it's easy, that's an easy fix.
Yeah, excuse me. So, okay, so talk to me in that spirit. Talk to me about the cash account?
That, it's problematic if I have to come to the board just to move money between the bank account and the cash account to the bank. The money is not being spent, it's not being committed in any way, it's just maximizing the return.
So that they have access to the regular bank account.
Or
Not
if
even
anything,
access to the bank. That's correct.
I couldn't,
It's no different than having access to the regular bank account, cutting checks from there, and just replenishing. He's just moving that money to a spot.
well, he doesn't cut checks from there,
And I don't even have.
Oh, well, you're right.
Checks, as it turns out.
Okay,
right?
But I'm
So-
actually not.
And so when you're talking about $1 million and plus sitting in an account, that the authorization to move that money, the actual human being who can pick up a telephone or, and this isn't about Dave, this is about
right,
Coventry Pass.
it could be anyone that's in this chair.
And having that level of funding sitting in account with one person having the ability to move that money is wrong.
so you could do it where the chair is authorized by the board to delegate. So anytime David has to move a cash account fund somewhere, you have a POC on the select board who you call, who's been authorized by them. And
No, because I can't, without this level of access, I can't see the account. And
no, I understand. I'm saying we need the level of access and any type of money, because the concern is, well, there's a bunch of money sitting in that cash management account which constantly keeps moving. If the issue is that it's moving and you want oversight, and appoint one person who's going to be that oversight that is approved by the board. And if that's the chair, then that's the chair, and then that way you at least have two people who are looking at it, as opposed to going from one person to the treasurer who has all their hands in the money versus the chair who has all their hands in the money. I don't see how that's really solving anything. If anything, we need more eyes on this thing.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly,
Having the forcing the form, the movement of that money.
Yeah.
Well, that's what our attempt is here.
my
This is the
proposal
board.
to this is select board. Do what we did in the past and appoint one or more of your members to be authorized individuals on those accounts.
Yeah.
Believe me on it.
Yes.
You know, we've got multiple people on the bank account. You need multiple people on the town investment accounts. Multiple eyes, it's called, in a way,
Due diligence.
balances. Checks and balances, multiple people can see it, and if one of us gets run over by a bus, you're not crippled. Continue to operate. And just adding people is straightforward. And it keeps me capable of doing the duties I have to do by statute. And it allows additional members visibility and the ability to step in when needed. And perhaps we can craft a procedure where there's an approval process if something needs to happen fast. Clearly, we have processes we can use for the kind of what I call slow moving stuff. Any town investment fund transfer.
So what this does, done. Thing remarkably open so far. What this does here is with Westview. Is puts the authority to move money. Not that we're going to do the movement of the money.
I understand.
But you're going to have to, the way that's written.
Money is received by the town.
If you were the only authorized individual,
I am not the only authorized individual.
that's not what that says.
That
It
is
says
what that
a
says.
sole authorized individual.
Yeah, I see, that's all.
It says it.
Where am I
Sole authorized
going?
individual.
What am I looking?
At the section below.
Section 2. Section 2, the chair of the Coventry Select Board is hereby designated as the sole authorized individual for all financial investment accounts held by the town. That's it, you know, I have no ability to do my job
So
as outlined.
you gotta read the whole form to see what that says. the select, the chair of the select board has no singular authority. None, zero. They need, Westview needs one human being to be the authority for their accounts with Fidelity. That doesn't mean
No, they
I,
don't.
that-
They can have multiple ones. You can have up to 7 with Fidelity. It's right in the fine print of their form, Fidelity's form. I understand you wanna lock it down, but that's just, it's counter to meeting the statute, and it's counter to our experience in Coventry as well. You well remember, and others in the room, when one person controlled all the accounts. And a lot of money went missing. I'm not saying that's the issue here, but we know that you should not do that. It's a bad financial move.
20 years from now, we have.
but that's what we've been doing.
No, we have.
Yes, we have.
I mean, the board hasn't
There's
appointed
only-
anybody.
there's-
You need to appoint
In
somebody.
Catamount,
Yeah,
how many authorized people were there?
3.
Who were there?
It was the chair of the select board, Scott Pryor. It was the town administrator, Amanda Carlson. And at one point, it was the previous treasurer. And then,
Last year, who was it?
I think whenever Pryor left, that was it. And then it
Right.
became me. And if you remember, as part of the whole change of authorities on the checking account, this was one of the issues. That you needed to add somebody or more than one person to the investment side as well.
No, I don't.
You want to think about it.
I don't remember that. Do you guys remember that? It's a lot, isn't it?
Well, it was.
So we
I
agree that
think
it
Dan
needs
just-
to be, we agree that it needs to be more authority, on the accounts. We can't have, one person or 2 people with that level of authority. It's the select board is the body of the authority on the matter. That's the answer.
And that's already captured in the statute too. So anything that happens in those accounts has to be done by the approval of the legislative body.
Right.
It's there.
That's already in there. There is a certain level of trust that you have to have of your own staff. And quite frankly, if you don't trust me to do the job, get rid of me. Get somebody you do trust. Treasurer, you gotta trust the treasurer. If I'm not the right person, I'm an at-will employee.
You are, David's on it. You guys are not on it.
That is a good point.
So if money comes up missing, there's avenues to recover that. If it comes up missing due to negligence and select board, there's less avenues.
The select board doesn't move the money or have the authority to get into the account.
You will after this is due, but you.
We do not, we will not.
Yes, you will.
If you become an authorized, whatever, you will be.
You become appointed the sole authorized individual. I just highly recommend, read all the fine print that's on the Fidelity forms. It's like the bank account, and your signatory on the bank account too. You can walk in to CNB and take money out of the town's accounts, out of the bank. Fill out a withdrawal form. They'll even look up the account number for you. Your signatory on that account, you can do it. Matt can do it too. Come on, that's the nature of these assignments. They require a high level of trust and honesty. There's no, they don't have a lot of an alternative really, unfortunately. It'd be nice if they had an alternative kind of assignment that was somewhere in between kind of thing, right? But that's not what what they have on offer is authorized individual that has the authority to do pretty much everything.
I have heard everybody agree that we need more people who are authorized individuals. One thing that everybody has agreed on. And if Dave is off of it,
That's illegal.
treasurer's report's gonna be really boring.
Well, it's gonna be really short. For. And incomplete, you won't have accounting for. And you will have, in a sense, violated that statute that says it's the treasurer who does the investing. I mean, you literally hire me to do that. What you pay me to do. You don't like the way I do it, either correct the way I do it. Or get a new treasurer. But, you know, you're kind of stuck with what the statute says. Treasurer does it. But that also doesn't preclude one or two or a town administrator from also being authorized individuals on those accounts. Way everybody can watch. And you can have devise a procedure where, you know, if you're not happy with whichever account it is, that procedure can be in place. It's like we do, in a sense, you have a procedure for payroll, right? Payroll's a quick turn. It's gotta happen. So you have a procedure.
Yeah.
Needs to be a lot more looking into and talking to, like the investments and investment people. Pretty and Dan, they all have their good information.
You could even take the position that Freddie ought to have, or his designee, well, select the cemetery commission, but it would normally the cemetery would be Freddie, and then the school have some ability to look at those accounts that are, in a sense,
Theirs,
theirs.
But we're gonna separate them.
Well, you can fill out
That
a
was
separate
planned.
paperwork for each account. In fact, the stack of paperwork is separate paperwork for each account.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a stack, separate for each.
Who drafted that resolution by
Town attorney,
I'm sorry, who drafted it?
town attorney.
did you
At
authorize it?
who, exactly, at whose request?
Yeah,
Who
did we authorize
authorized
that as the board
expenditure?
motion to actually draft this up?
Because Terry seemed very surprised.
Yeah, that was my next question too.
Dan, did you know?
I didn't know.
Okay, so did you do this, Scott?
It's my fault.
No, I just want to know who authorized it, as, you know, who's agreed?
The question,
To spend the funds to draft.
the request was to get us motion language, and that's what I got.
Can I ask you another question?
Shoot.
And I'm just looking for the simple answer, if that's possible. Why was this draft?
We just went all through that.
But I was hearing two things. We probably have been through what we all know we've been through. And we're trying to learn from that, not make the same, I'll call it a mistake.
Sure.
So when I read this select board resolution, it seems so contrary to that.
So the attempt was to make it's about a board, not an individual. And so the most current process that we've been going through, what we just talked about, has been only the treasurer was authorized to move money or make those decisions with fidelity at Catamount. So we were down to one person. The attempt, part of the attempt in many of these things is put it to the select board. So you're always gonna have a select board. So it makes the process more transparent, it makes it more on the table, it makes it more easy to review because it's going through the normal town business process and not done by one person, whoever that person might be. Whether they be in this building or at home or somewhere else where they can get access to that amount of money. That's the intent.
Okay, so to summarize my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. We are all in agreement that more signatures is a better idea to improve transparency as it relates to the town's general fund, to the cemetery fund, or to the school fund.
Yeah, we're trying to mirror the same thing and put it through a bill pay process, you know, the full board, not just one person.
Thank
Yeah, so there's another safeguard in place. That's kind of important to point out. I am not signatory on the town's bank account. So there is zero way for me to get access to any of the investment account money in any way. All I can do is move it from the investment fund to the bank account and then using the investment account, I call it up from the bank back to the investment. That's it. There's no other. So there's no way out, right? And this is a process that the auditors sort of look at as well. But again, I come back to let's add some more authorized individuals. But we functioned with 3 for many years.
Maybe a good example on how to form that is how this, the cemetery commission is supposed to do is the cemetery commission authorizes through their trustee that has been supposed to manage the accounts to have the treasurer cut checks or move the money. So there's a multi-level process. The cemetery commission is involved, the trustee is involved with that decision on moving that money and where it should be invested. And the treasurer finally has say and executes the wishes of those 2 parties.
So there's actually an example of that that's happening tonight later on in that red folder.
Aren't we all, so this is just the latest. We've all signed forms for Westview, every one of us. We're all authorized.
No. Shake your head, no, Matt, they're not all on this. None of you are. The forms, so the forms that haven't
I mean,
been
help me, yeah.
finished yet,
No,
Those are
not the
the
ones
ones
that haven't been finished.
to do the
The
all.
ones that we've all filled out.
Yeah, I remember looking at those, I had to look at them again, it wasn't about becoming authorized. I'm not sure what, I had to look and see which one's free. The authorized individual forms are much more intrusive, as you discovered, they want a lot more information.
Yeah.
Several pages. Because of federal SEC regulations that require all that.
The forms that you sign just authorize things to be our asset management.
That was a contract. It may have been a contract.
That's what I remember, just,
Going from A to B.
yeah.
Renee?
But
I mean, I have nothing more to say other than. the
Well,
fact
no,
that
tell us what to do.
No, I mean, basically, I agree, basically, we need more eyes on it, because I think, we want transparency, well, not me personally, but a lot of us have lived through what happened back then. So my suggestion would be to have the process that you have, where you all authorize it, get on and become the authorized, I gotta keep forgetting the terminology, but
Yes.
get authorized on their account, whatever that may be.
authorized individual.
Right. And that's pretty much it. From there on out, I think if there are additional things that you want to figure out, have a standard operating procedure that you write down, and that whoever the next select board person is can handle it with the next. Treasurers can take a look at it. But I think as it stands right now, it is legally sound. Whatever's in there currently is not legally sound. Forgetting the legality of it, I think transparency with more people is definitely better. So And the second thing I would suggest is that if we're writing up resolutions, we have a select board motion before we do that, otherwise, we're again, going into territory of. Without being able to prove, even if the intent is good, we're getting into that territory of, you know. It looks like, exactly,
It looks like we haven't learned anything. If you just read this. Actually,
I should have followed my instinct, I bet.
yeah, especially if the attorney is charging for all of this stuff. I mean, I understand, so the select board has the select board chair, the select board has like, not contact them individually for normal matters. If it was motion language, I completely agree.
You know, well.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, though, sometimes it, you know, this is a good thing. Sometimes you can't put a price tag on. On that sort of thing, so.
I totally think everyone had the right intent behind it, everyone wanted to kind of make sure that our investments were safe and sound. But I think what we have is good, let's expand it.
Well,
Started.
the problem with, me and Matt having that conversation again. With Brian, is we're likely to get the same result. So,
We shop for an attorney,
um,
you shop for a new attorney,
no. No, but you know, it's, you gotta bring different thinking in.
sure.
This schedule was crazy, right, this week?
Yeah. Not making much out of it this week.
Um.
What is the next step to putting somebody else on
That'd be a game.
as an authorized individual?
The board chooses who they want. And I would recommend that it not be the same person that's on the bank account. Just because separation of duties is a good one there. So if Scott wants to be the authorized individual on the investment account, then somebody else needs to get placed him on the bank. Otherwise, you're gonna get a situation real quick where Matt leaves and then you've got one individual over everything. That looks bad and it is down.
So we need to do a couple things. We need to. Talk to Westview again, because that is not the information that I get. That is not the information that Matt and I get from Westview on the process. That there is no authorization for the select board chair. Could be, I heard it wrong, could be I understand it wrong, but I don't think so. That it's the select board of the town of Coventry who have opened this account, who have the ownership of that account. It's the town of Coventry owns that account, the select board.
Agreed.
Yes.
The practicality of how it's utilized is what we're all trying to figure out. And my understanding from that is that it is only the full board decision-making that allows for any of those transactions to occur. That's the process we've set up. That's the paperwork we've done, those are the contracts we've signed. That's the process that we've established with them. It's not about any one person having the ability to go in to that system and move any money as an individual. That's the process that we're trying to avoid.
But, yeah. That's already.
However we do it.
It's already really not an issue. The only money movement can happen cash between the local bank account and the cash management. That's the only link. So none of us can go online and pause anything that happened in the town investment account itself. Can't do it. You just look at it. None of us can go online in the cash management account and take cash and invest it in some way. In fact, in order to get the cash that's in the cash management account into the right money market fund at Fidelity, Westview has to do that. So it arrives, you know, I can cause it to arrive, and they have to put it, do something. Which means call them. You know, there's no I have no online ability to even touch the town investments. I can't go in there and buy it or sell it. Do any of it. That's not part of what's on offer as an authorized entity.
Good.
But it,
Status quo.
but it needs to be, at least I need to have that access to do my job. And you can see it in the statute, it's plain language. Verb invest.
If there is an issue with Westview not being able to put on more than one person, that's something that we'll have to work it out with them versus us trying to change our process, because that's what I was saying. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, if there is,
it's a fidelity thing.
fair enough, but again, like Westview could come in and say, I'm assuming they're the middleman between us and Fidelity, correct?
They are.
Okay, so they could have some stupid policy in their thing which says, oh, we're only gonna allow one, but that's where we can push that against them and make sure we have it. Because otherwise, if they're making us do this, they're going to make us be statutorily non-compliant.
And it's important to note this, that Westview has no other municipal accounts.
So they make.
I mean, they even pitched, when they first came and pitched you, that when you went to visit them in the first pitch, they talked about how good they were at, not manipulating, tax avoidance, investing and blah, 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 stuff that had nothing to do with the municipality, but that's what they were doing. So they're not in any way, shape or form, any kind of experts on managing a municipal or set of events. I'm willing to believe they know the fidelity system well enough. And that's great. But you know, it's not a matter of going what's in this resolution. I think add another or two authorized individuals that both can back up and watch and occasionally do the process.
It also sounds like you want to be warned of money moving back and forth between the cash account and the bank account. That extra level of protections, that way there's a warning, just like any other check that would be cut. Or money.
Yeah, it should be, yeah, right, it should be,
Which is just an in-house procedural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so money moves the same way, the thinking around it is the same for the board, wherever the board is, new people
Right,
coming
but it's
in and
still
out all the
a
time.
decision.
So they can always
In
see,
case your treasurer's opinion that this money needs to be here, we're gonna have to check and. Yeah, right.
But it sounds like it's gonna be inconvenient if we do it in a meeting, if we have to, if the process involves.
Well, you should have a process, I think, like you have payroll. And abilities to respond quickly when needed. It doesn't happen very often. Very infrequent. But the first time I ever moved cash back to the account was the last AP run. Where all of a sudden, there's $700,000 or $800,000. If the seller check hasn't arrived, let's not bounce checks. Move it right now, because I can only move it 100,000 at a time. So unless I call them and have Westview wire it, which is expensive. And to me, not super switch, but we're getting into kind of the weeds is that. I don't think that's. You can see tonight, there's an AP run that includes an EDP and the notice price set of invoices to reimburse the school for spending that was EDP spending. And what's gonna need to happen is I'll need to call Westview and get them to sell a little bit of the EDP funds to reimburse the town for that expenditure. And it's in the AP, documented, you'll see it. We've done it that way several times before with EDP. We've also done it that way with cemetery. Not only once, but we did, when you rebuilt the, I call it Four Corner Cemetery.
Yeah.
There was some vandalism a few years back, and you did. I may confuse a little bit. There was work up there that was a long-term type of work. Meant to last 25, 50 years, and you used the investment fund to pay. And that went through AP, came to the board approved it. We moved money out of that fund to reimburse the town.
That's the right way, that's the right way to do it.
Very straightforward, you know, it's the way you do anything, really.
Let's do a few different things. You working Friday? Oh, no, you said it.
I have to talk about this? No. Listen anywhere of this tonight? No.
I was just thinking about Dave.
I'm working as a day for this town. If I have to see anywhere else.
Ready for close, Chris.
It's time to move on. That's it.
So, I'll do it. I just want to coordinate. Let's coordinate 2 or 3 meetings. Can you work Thursday, or can you come in Thursday? If Matt will be here Thursday.
Maybe not anymore. So, let's see. I can work Thursday afternoon. I can
Okay.
swap Friday for Thursday.
Okay,
Thursday at 7.
Yeah. We'll have something after that.
No, you can't.
You know, like, yeah,
Dancing lessons.
Calendars on the line.
I could do like a mid-morning.
how about, when's your next day to work? Monday? Next Monday?
Yeah, after Friday.
You gonna be here next Monday? So why don't we try to schedule a phone discussion with Westview, with Eric?
Yep.
To include you 2 guys. Either of you are invited.
When is this, Monday? Monday?
Oh, this week, this.
Monday, 1 to 4 is when I'm normally, or like,
Sunday, 1 o'clock,
I can do the morning. Is that what you're looking at?
1.
1 P.M.? Yeah, I gotta go.
So let's schedule that. Eric will, I'm sure, one of those guys will help you out. So you 2 Monday, 1 o'clock, and you 2 were invited to fit in on that. I will try to make that. That's 1. 2. Probably shouldn't put him on the hot wire. What was the other thing we need to recall? Oh, the cemetery money?
Yep.
Let's not do that Monday, so it gets a
We don't
little,
have money that can get this done.
so it gets a little confusing.
It's been the way it has been for quite a while.
Well, we gotta fix it though. We gotta fix it.
Right.
When is your next meeting?
I need to schedule.
Okay,
it now,
so if you schedule a meeting, we can all go to that, if we all want. And I think that's important. Let's go, let's talk that through, see what you guys want. Or what you don't. You'll learn some things on Monday,
Yes.
potentially, but try not to, get too many things going at once on that meeting, but just absorb it all, and then let's figure out what's best for you guys in the meeting in the town on, creating a new account. I think Dave's right, should have a standalone separate account. If you wanna leave it there, if you wanna put it somewhere else, whatever, flush it all out. So schedule that sooner than later,
Yes, I will do.
and we can all try to get to that. For me, came up with 1 or 2 things that. It's some of the comments on legal, I I don't think you're right, but I don't wanna argue with you here, if you know.
I can pull it up and we're gonna look at it later.
I've read them all three different ways and backwards and frontwards, and some of the language is a little confusing to us that aren't lawyers. But
Pretty
maybe,
thorough, but yeah.
maybe you and I could sit together and call Brian, if you'd like.
Sure.
And let you kind of go at him from a different angle than me, and let's just figure that out for the right. On these things, so that they're plain or the language is correct, I don't like leaving that stuff loose. When we say the town attorney's wrong, he gets an opportunity to say he's not. And why he is or isn't, and let's just,
Yeah.
In
You may
a-
have some sort of.
in a convenient sort of way, flush that
I'll
out.
hear it now.
And figure that out, so we can maybe do it on,
Yeah. I'll figure something out, yeah. Mondays and Fridays are usually the better days for me.
okay?
So if you wanna do that, like combine the budget.
I'll give you a buzz,
Okay, that works.
let's see what he's got, he's the busy one.
Okay.
The only thing I'll say, Matt, in closing, don't get mad at me,
Don't worry, I'm mad at everybody.
is,
Oh.
is,
This should not happen in the meeting.
it should not,
This should happen.
no,
I'm embarrassed.
yeah. I'll leave it at that.
Any other business?
Any other business? Good. Minutes.
Not-
Kathleen, this better be quick.
It's very quick. I would like to be on the select board's agenda. You tell me when you can do it.
Yep.
To give you a 24-25 update on the Edmund Douglas Price Fund.
Okay, I will put you on the first September meeting,
What day would that be?
first Monday in September.
I think that's the holiday.
So
Second Monday in September.
It is.
Okay,
Yep, September 8th.
okay.
Monday,
minutes.
September 8th, 5:00.
Yep,
Okay, EDP update.
yeah, I'll put you right at the beginning tab.
I appreciate that very much. That's all I got.
Minutes were good, I think.
Give them. Motion to accept the select board meeting minutes for the town of Coventry, Monday, July 21st, 2025, as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're at
Yeah, good.
See you guys later.
See you, Brittany.
Hey, thank you. Have a good night.
23rd.
Thank you, Brittany.
23rd will happen. That's right. Give me a dump tank comments.
Oh, yes, hey. I better talk to him, about this. The road from, the road.
Yeah. Two fair copy.
This is
Dan, whip stuff.
Yeah.
So, everybody's aware of it, and.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, so bring it up. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, no worries.
Get the books. In school, the investment fund. Your meeting's still 5:30 tomorrow night, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Who's the tallest one in that class? In eighth grade? Yeah. Noah is the shortest. By far. What about Hamlet's daughter, Greg Hamlet's daughter? She's pretty tall. Yeah, she was not.
Well, what I'm getting at, see those two together.
Yeah.
If-
No, she's still on there, she's muted. Deb. Not quite.
What's that?
Hey, how did your rowing go this weekend?
Oh my God, it was absolutely amazing. I actually printed off some stuff to give you guys a little update. So there was 53 teams Their goal to raise for money was 145,000. We ended up raising almost 111,000, so that was 76%. Out of the 53 teams, re-ranked number 6, Freedom, Unity, and Love Boat, for bringing in part of the most money. We brought in $4,700-ish, but I know that's expecting to go up because we're getting some more donations over the next couple of weeks. We're able to keep donating to that through the 31st. Rowan Wise, oh, we did our 2 rows, but that was actually really awesome. So we did not win, but we did take first place with our team spirit, our team song and chant. So technically we had a town clerk who ended up passing from cancer several years ago. And so this year we had 10 clerks who were supposed to paddle with us. 4 of them had to end up dropping out last minute. So we ended up grouping up with this church out of Burlington. So it was them and us. So that's where the Love Boat comes from, because our team is Freedom and Unity. So we ended up doing a dedication to her. And the church also had a member who had passed from breast cancer. So they did dedication to them as well. So our theme song was actually the Love Boat theme song. And what we did is we went in, we sort of did a remash, and we put our names into there, and we put the names of the individuals who had passed. So I think that was really awesome. I can't take credit for that. There was another girl on the team who spent hours on getting our team song and our team chant ready for us to be able to do. But it was actually really nice. At lunchtime, there were actually 4 dragon boats. Now there's approximately 20 people who fit in each dragon boat, but there was 4 dragon boats filled with breast cancer survivors. So they also did racing on Saturday and on Sunday, but each one was given a sunflower. A dedication was done to those, you know, who have lost their lives in the past, to the survivors who were still with us. And at the end, they sort of took those sunflowers and just threw them off into the water, but it was really nice.
Yes. Congratulations.
Motion those warrants.
Motion to accept the warrants.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, Penn State's here.